How strong are the members of the most powerful pirate crew to ever sail the seas of One Piece? What are each of their characteristics and what are they capable of? Come closer, because in this video, we'll explore the powers of all the members of the Rock's pirates when they sail together. There's a pirate with an Akuma no Mi so powerful it could destroy the world, a hockey expert, and Rocks himself who possesses monstrous power, and you'll understand why. Stussy. He was responsible for guiding Big Mom after Madre Carmel's death. Stussy has followed her up until today. In other words, if he's been with her this whole time, it's obvious he would have followed her into the Rock's Pirates crew. In that image from the God Valley flashback, we can see Stussy there in the corner. And yes, when it comes to power, he's really far behind the others. He has superhuman durability, having survived a hard fall to the ground from the top of Whole Cake's cake. He also has enough strength to stand after a hockey blast from Big Mom, and according to Bej, he's a swordsman who, despite being old, still possesses very high attributes. So yes, considering these feats, we can't say he's a failure. But the reason he's behind the others is because of his main power, cooking. Yes, Stren is the user of the Kuku no Mi, a fruit that allows him to turn anything into food. This makes us believe he was the cook of the crew, but when it comes to his fighting power, we can say he was a formidable swordsman as well as an excellent cook. Ochoku, Wangji. At first, we thought Ochoku was one of those corpses revived by Mariah back in Thriller Bark, but no, when Blackbeard met Kobe, he mentioned that the Marine hero had helped a lot in the Rocky Port incident to defeat Ochoku. This statement indicates that Ochoku is still alive. And if he's alive, then there's no way he was revived by Moriah. We never got to see his power level. What we know is that he was apparently dominating Hachinosu before Blackbeard. But thanks to Kobe, Teach managed to fight against Ochoku and take the throne of the pirate island. Since Teach needed the help of a marine, we can assume Ochoku was strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Teach, who possesses two of the most powerful devil fruits in One Piece, Silver Axe. Silver Axe was one of the members mentioned by Sengoku himself when he introduced the Rock's pirates to the Marines. Everyone was shocked to see that someone like him was in that crew. We didn't see him fighting, but it seems that he fights with a steel axe. What's interesting is that up until now, we hadn't seen someone this strong fighting with an axe. So, since Silver Axe is the biggest name associated with such a weapon, we can assume he's the best axe user in the entire series, Captain John. He was also revived by Mariah, and we saw him fighting against the Straw Hat Pirates in Thriller Bark. From what little we saw of him fighting, it was clear that he truly lived up to his position in the Rock's crew. As a zombie, he was nearly invincible. His only weakness was salt. He was a swordsman who wielded two swords, possibly a user of Nitoryu. Unfortunately, we don't know much more about that. We only know about his history, which involved a great treasure hunt he had during his time. John was the owner of one of the treasures that Buggy is still after to this day. This treasure was the reason for his death, as after the fall of the Rock's pirates, John was killed by his own crew members after failing to reveal the location of his greatest treasure, Gloriosa. Before, we only knew Gloriosa as an old woman from Amazon Lily, but now, after discovering she was part of the Rock's crew, we can see that she has a very similar appearance to Boa Hancock herself. We never saw her use her true strength, nor did we see her fighting. What we do know is that in Amazon Lily, when Luffy started running, Gloriosa easily caught up with him, kicking him with great force. Since she was able to do something like this, even while being old, we can assume that her powers at her peak were similar to or even superior to Boa Hancock's. Some even speculate that she was the former user of the Mero Mero no Mi, but that's obviously impossible, as she would have had to be dead for Hancock to eat that fruit. We don't even know if she was a user of an Akuma no Mi, but it seems that she relied mainly on her physical attributes and her hockey abilities. Miss Buckingham, Stussy. Today, she is just an old woman who gives orders to her son, but in the days of the Rock's pirates, she was probably one of the strongest members of the crew. We can say this because currently, she has a clone that replicates the powers she had when she was young. This clone has fought alongside Vegapunk in the battle against the world government. She possesses very high physical abilities, as she was able to attack fast and agile people like Lucci and Kaku without them noticing. She also has the ability to generate bat wings on her back and can suck blood from people by biting their skin, similar to a vampire. Stussy can quickly incapacitate those whose blood she sucks, rendering her victims unconscious. Everything indicates that this is the power of an Akuma no Mi, as none of Vegapunk's robots display this ability. Therefore, it's possible that he replicated this Akuma no Mi power from Stussy and applied it to her clone, Shiki. He was undoubtedly one of the strongest members of the crew, easily being one of the top officers at that time. Shiki fought battles with Roger, being one of the most formidable enemies the Pirate King faced during his glory days. Shiki's power and the strength of his crew were so immense that he came close to defeating Roger in the Edwar confrontation. However, he couldn't win because a strong windstorm hit the area and decimated half of his fleet. Not to mention, when Roger was captured, he faced Garp and Sengoku alone. Of course, he was defeated, but the mere fact that he fought these monsters makes him one of the strongest. What makes Shiki so powerful is the ability granted by the Fuma Fuma no Mi, which allows him to levitate not only himself but also any kind of object, from small things like a table to massive objects like buildings and a warship. He was previously a dual sword user. His swordsmanship skills were highly effective, as it was with them that he killed many marines and pirates throughout his life. However, to escape from Impel Down, he cut off his own legs and replaced them with his two swords. This allowed him to levitate his swords and freely float his body using the powers of his Akuma no Mi. This levitation power was essential for him to become the first prisoner to escape from Impel Down, where he floated himself to the upper levels to break free. The good news is that he is still alive, and I'm sure that when he reappears, he will show why he was one of the few to face the Pirate King, Kaido. And here we arrive at the Yonkos who ruled the world after the fall of the Rocks pirates. Everyone knows this guy's powers. With his Wo no Mi model Seiryu, Kaido is capable of fully transforming into a mythical dragon that breathes fire. Additionally, he can also stay in his hybrid form, maintaining his standard body but with the addition of dragon scales, which grants him even more strength and resistance. This is literally the perfect Akuma no Mi for Kaido, because naturally, he is already incredibly resilient and strong. His resistance is so immense that he was able to fight for an entire night against the samurai, the supernovas, and a whole slew of 1 versus 1 battles with Luffy. All of this was only possible thanks to his own attributes, combined with the powers of his fruit, which further enhance his abilities. As if that weren't enough, he's also one of the best haki users in the entire series. He possesses all 3 types of haki and can use the advanced form of any of them. He channels all that dragon strength along with the advanced king's haki into his kanabo, which, whenever used by him, is imbued with a powerful burst of king's haki, making his direct attacks even more lethal. Big Mom. Following Kaido's example, Big Mom is also a monster when it comes to physical strength. Unlike Kaido, who becomes stronger with the dragon scales, Lin relies solely on her natural durability and endurance, as her Akuma no Mi doesn't enhance her attributes. With the Soru no Mi, Lin gains a whole arsenal of abilities. She can bring inanimate objects to life and take someone's lifespan, but she can only do this if the person is afraid of her. However, Lin's greatest trump card are her homies, the creatures she creates. She has 3 main weapons: Zeus, Prometheus, and Napoleon. Zeus controls storms and lightning, while Prometheus unleashes flames on a scale similar to Sabo's Mera Mera no Mi. Napoleon, her sword, can combine with Zeus and Prometheus. As I said, she's absurdly strong, able to withstand multiple attacks from 2 awakened fruits at the same time. But what makes her even stronger is her haki. Lin possesses all 3 types of haki, but her main strength lies in her advanced king's haki. Her punches are so powerful with haki that she was able to take down Page 1 with a single blow, and he's one of the most resilient of the Tobiropos. It's worth noting that she did all of this while being old. So imagine what this woman was capable of during her prime, when she was with the Rocks crew, Whitebeard. Newgate was probably the strongest member of the crew after the Rocks. Like Kaido and Big Mom, he had resistance, haki, and a fruit that perfectly matched his needs. He was so resilient that he could withstand hundreds of stabs and gunshots, even when he was old and sick. He had a powerful enough haki to face off against Roger himself, the man who may have been the best haki user in the series. and he had an Akuma no Mi that further amplified his offensive power, the Gura Gura no Mi. Newgate was capable of shaking the environment around him, causing tsunamis, earthquakes, and anything necessary to collapse the place he was in. Another very important aspect was his punches, which could break the air itself. One example of this was when he hit a Kainu in such a way that it sent the Admiral deep underground with a single blow, a strike that severely weakened the Admiral. In short, thanks to all these attributes, Newgate is one of the strongest in the entire history of One Piece. Rox D. Xebec. Although he is considered by many to be the strongest man in history, we don't know exactly anything about his powers. The only thing we know is that he fought with a sword. It's widely theorized that he was the former user of the Yami Yami no Mi, a theory that makes a lot of sense to me, since he is the mirror of what Blackbeard is today. He is literally the darkness amidst the light emanated by Goldie Roger in his era. But regardless of whether he was a user of an Akuma no Mi, we can definitely say that he is one of the strongest in the entire series. The guy literally challenged Roger and Garp at the same time. Can you imagine? He fought against the strongest pirate and the strongest marine in history. The guy is a monster, and I'm sure that when he appears, he will show why he was the man who made Garp the hero of the Marines. We will probably see a lot more about the Rocks in future flashbacks. So to stay updated on everything happening, not just with this pirate crew, but also with everything going on in the world of One Piece, make sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell. That way, we'll always be bringing you these news and curiosities about the One Piece world. A big hug and see you next time.